afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another conversation with Kelly. I am Kelly Spencer, and I am so glad that you joined us on this Saturday afternoon. We normally talk at on Sundays at 3, but we have a special part 2. And so we wanted to give everybody time to just ask questions and dive deeper into this mindset. So I am asking you to sit back, relax, get a piece of paper. Also, I want you to like, share, and subscribe. Man, we have some things coming down the road, some guests that you are going to be blessed by. So you want to stay connected. And today, again, we're going to talk about the mindset. And so what I want you to do is give me a shout out in the comment section. Let me know who you are and where you're watching from. And also, our special guest is going to take some questions. So you will be up close and personal with our special guest. And I'm going to bring her on in just a second. But again, today's topic is, it is time to shift your mindset. Again, it is time to shift your mindset. And this is part 2. Part 1, if you missed it, it was off the chain. So this time we're going to take a little bit of time to have your questions answered so that we can get in gear and get that mindset going. All right. So again, welcome. I am so glad that you tuned in. And for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, these conversations are just, if you imagine going to a restaurant, sitting around with your friends, dropping some nuggets and some gems, and you leave empowered and encouraged. So that's what these conversations are all about. So today, man, I have a guest she needs no introduction. She has been a guest several times on purpose because she has the oil and the word of God in her mouth that is going to literally be life-changing for you. So last time, just to bring you up to date, for those of you all that didn't hear the conversation, we talked about 2 different types of mindsets. There is the fixed mindset, and that's when you're stuck. That means you cannot get past anything that you believe. You believe what you think is right, and that's it. You don't want to move any further. Then you have the growth mindset. That's the mindset that says, okay, well, these things happen. What can I learn from it, and how can I grow from it? So the second type is spiritual. In the Bible, did y'all know that the word mind is mentioned over 90 times? 90 times. So God is very much concerned about how we think and what our mindset is all about. So Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed by the what? Renewing of your mind. I don't want to go into very much of repeating what we talked about last time. I'm just bringing those who did not get a chance to watch up to speed. I grew up in Erie, PA, way up in the north. And anybody that's watching that's from Pennsylvania know, in the wintertime, it's ice. It is a lot of snow. And your car can get stuck in the snow. And you literally have to get either a rug or some salt and put it around the tire that's spinning, that's stuck, so that you can get unstuck and move forward. So today we have a person that's going to help us get unstuck. I call her a purpose pusher. She is none other than Apostle Lovella Mogere. How are you today?
Oh, I'm well. I'm fine. How are you?
I am good. We were talking in the green room. Ma'am, you have a busy schedule.
Yes, I do. It's one thing to see it. Well, it's one thing to see it, then pray for it. But then when it's upon you, And like, whoa, when did I get here and how did I get here? So now you're balancing,
Yes,
balancing
yes.
time. You're balancing, yeah, life. Hmm.
Yes, yes. Well, she is, for those of you all who do not know, she's an entrepreneur. She is a strategic thinker. She is a best selling author. And I call her, like I said, a purpose pusher because just like that salt and that rug that gets under that tire to get you unstuck, her words are so powerful that you're not going to be stuck long in her presence. She is going to pray, she is going to speak life and hope, and that's what she's going to do for you today. So, welcome again, Apostle.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Looking so forward to it.
Absolutely. And welcome, Miss Wanda Gentry. Thank you for tuning in. I see Coach Danielle right there and Apostle Ray. All right, very good. Welcome to the conversation.
Mhm.
So let's just go ahead and dive right in, Apostle. How
Mhm.
important are our thoughts?
Our thoughts are not only important, but it is vital. Our thoughts either drives, it stagnates, or it annihilates, or at the same time, it could cause one to be stuck. The thoughts are projected or imprints of what we're thinking. And the wiring comes from the womb of the mind. So we have the subconscious and we have the conscious. But our thoughts projected definitely lets people know who we are by the way that we speak or articulate, because we could only speak yet what we see, what we've heard, or the impression. I call them
Yes,
impression based on thought process. Mhm.
yes, yes. Go a little bit deeper. What is, or how would you explain in more depth, a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset?
Well, again, if a growth mindset describes the way in which one thinks or the way one views. It's more so about the way one views challenges and setback. Um, Again, a growth mindset, it speaks of the way one deals with challenges when it comes to
Mhm,
setback,
mhm,
and also, and we say obstacles, because we could
mhm,
be thinking one way, but when a wall or an obstacle comes up,
mhm,
how
mhm.
do one handle it? Can you push past it? When one is being pressurized, can you push past it? And are you going to bend or are you going to buckle? How are you going to be able to press beyond that challenge or that obstacle or that
Yes,
setback? So
yes,
that's the
yes,
growth mindset. So the growth mindset's meaning that you go beyond the boundaries of your limbs, and then you see the outcome or the finish end or the result of it. Okay. And you were asking about something else. We said based on growth mindset and fixed
and the
mindset.
fixed, yes,
And the fixed is pretty much one that's stuck in their way. And you know how we say it. Oh, they're so
yes,
stuck in their way and they're
yes,
getting their own way. No matter what you say, you could turn, I mean, you could paint the wall red, blue, or orange, whatever. You could find ways to convince, and still they are so stuck in their way. Another way we call it is stubborn, but in reality is that
yes.
they're fixed. And even though you're giving them different outcomes, hear the word,
Mhm,
different outcomes, they
mhm.
still see it that one way. Why? They become tunnel vision. And if it's that
Yes,
way, based on what they could see and based on how their outcome, then that's it. There no other outcomes. They will accept no other
yes,
outcomes because that's it. So they're fixed in their thinking. They have their footing together, and there's no other way but my way. And some of us, a lot of us might not know that we are fixed in our way of our thinking,
thinking, yes,
especially when there's a new overriding of strategies. Because this is the thing, we're in position to say, I want something new, I expect
mhm,
something new. But
mhm.
when the new comes upon and it doesn't look like or sound like or based on what you think or could fathom, then that fixed mindset comes in and it overrides. It has a block or a blockage. Why? Because now if one feels like you're forcing me to make a decision, you're forcing me to change. And that's because we've been doing a certain thing, or we become a
This
program,
a
and
long
we've been
time.
doing
Yes,
and we've been
yes.
doing a certain thing for the longest. Not only that, we found out that that strategy works. We found out that that strategy gave us the results. But now that we're in a new season, and we are at the threshold, when I said the door of time, and we're crossing into
Mm-hmm.
our new seasons, it is calling, or all creation is calling for what's in dormancy. So it's calling for a new strategy, a new outcome, a new outlook, a new perspective. So everything is changing. So how can we embrace what's new if we're holding on to, well, this works for me? It worked for me
Yes,
for the
yes,
past 5, 10 years. And I
yes,
don't have a problem. It's a system that has been worked, tried, bent, everything, and it works for me. And so we become fixed mindset, or fixed in our decision and tunnel vision. And a lot of us, again, we become fixed without knowing that we become stuck or fixed based on our way of thinking and processing.
wow. And you know what, Apostle, the thought just came to me years ago, maybe what, 20 years, if that. Remember, well, a lot of the millennials may not. We had the telephone booths
Mm-hmm.
where you could pull up on to a gas station uh, 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 on the corner somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and actually dial and talk to somebody if you needed to make a call.
Yeah.
So there are some people who could be stuck in that mindset, and all this new technology, cell phones and digital. They don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yes.
But the problem is they can't do anything with that old phone.
That's true. That's true. It's
if even if
outdated.
they wanted, it's outdated.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
do you
It's
think that
outdated.
our mindset can be outdated? Is that what you're
Yes.
really trying to say?
Our mindsets, our thoughts, our processing becomes
Yes,
outdated. Why? Because that, again, that system, that payphone, that system going to the walking up and putting that 25 cents. Back
yes,
then it was a dime, 5 cents to a dime, then it went to
yes,
25 cents. When you
yes,
put that 25 cents, then they give you a lot of time to talk. And so that
yes,
system works at that point. And then, and so because it works for you, all I got to do is just get up and just make that phone call. Okay, well, then that's fine. But we become stuck in that humdrum. So when now the introduction of the new comes in, and here's the introduction. Now they're introducing home phone, where they had to dial.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
then it got replaced by the updated one, where you're just pressing button,
Push the button and
and then it went from us holding on to the phone with the cord, and we're walking and
yes,
stretching
go
it from the living room to
wireless.
the kitchen,
Yes,
and to the
cordless.
point where
Yes,
now we have a cordless phone. So
yes,
again, and so when there's an introduction of the new, it's like, oh my gosh, what they coming with. When I said when I said try it, or
mm-hmm,
it becomes experimental, and then we're like, oh,
mm-hmm,
it's not that bad.
mm-hmm.
So I said that to say this. Why did we think that we don't want to try it? It's because we don't want to be bothered with something new. I have to learn something new all over again.
Yes,
Immediately we start thinking
yes.
time. We start thinking time. I don't have that kind of time.
Time. Mm-hmm,
It takes too long. I got to learn all of this time.
mm-hmm,
So immediately they went, I don't have the time, so they shut it down. And so from that, then we went to the beepers, and then the beepers went to the
mm-hmm,
heavy, phones, and then the car phone. And now here it
mm-hmm,
is, when now we're at smartphone. We went to the flip phone, now we at smartphone. And they're like, oh God, here we go. What happened is the upgrades start coming so fast that it was coming
yes,
too fast. And like, whoa, 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 whoa. So now the community is echoing, especially when they see you with that flip phone. Oh man, that's old. You don't think that your phone is old. As long as you're able to make that phone call and do that
yes,
text, then you're
yes,
fine. But when the community
yes.
and your environment starts echoing, oh, you're outdated. That's a flip phone. What you doing with a flip phone? And at that point, when my bill is cheap, I don't have to do all of this. I can still
Mhm,
make a phone call, so I'm fine. What
mhm.
they did was, let you know by way of expression, hey, you're outdated. And at that point, your response was, as long as it works for me, I'm fine. I'm not into all of
That
that
new technology.
upgraded stuff,
Yes, yes, yes.
But then, in the wiring, we still pick and choose what we want to get upgraded. Because I say that about it, especially when it comes to the church. Oh, they'll upgrade in their technology, they'll upgrade in their audio system, they'll upgrade
Mhm.
in the
Say
video,
that,
and
Apostle.
they'll
Yes.
upgrade in their car. They go from start to a push button. But you,
Yes.
the church and the pews, don't upgrade. But as long as they could upgrade to project that message to you, but they're still trying to tone down the programming by control and saying
Yes.
we don't need
Yes.
all that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
so
Yes.
people pick and choose their programming. They pick and choose their processing. They pick and choose what they want, the message they want to convey. They pick and choose their ease of life. As long as I don't have to put up with all that and do all of that, that's fine. And I said it when you said that, what came to me is because I have young adult children. And when I start showing them and sending them messages or whatever, that where did you get that from? I said, oh, Twitter. Oh, mom, stay off of Twitter. You too old for that. And I'm like, and I said, why are you calling me old? Now, mind you, if I wasn't upgraded in my thinking
Yes.
and
Yes.
processing and
Yes.
tapping into AI, the first thing that would articulate to me is that, oh, you're old. But
Yes.
at that point, with me sending them messages from Twitter and whatever, it's like, oh God, here she go again. Now she's on TikTok. Now I call it TikToking. Now she's on Snapchat. Oh my God, she's everywhere. Somebody get your mama. But they saying that because they would rather say, oh, she's old. But now it's
Yes.
like, mom, you too upgraded for me. I can't catch up. I can't keep up with you. So that's what trending does when it comes to timing. One that's wanting to be upgraded or be in the knowing, they changes, they tap into that growth mindset. I want to be in the knowing. I need to upgrade. I need to tap into my resources. I need to recalibrate my mind. I need to
Yes.
re-educate,
Yes.
retool myself so I could be efficient and be efficient, but at the same
Effective
time
and
be
effective.
and be effective and so we have a generations that's tapped into I said Google anything you want from Google. I have a friend that calls Google. Tap into the Holy Spirit, which is Google. And when you ask Google any question, it'll give you an answer to the point where you have people that paid for a 4-year college and they have X amount of loan for Google to spit out the answers, and they're like, I paid for this. I paid for this. So this
Right. Right.
information, Google is giving information that's processing and causing one to be alert and efficient and in the knowing to the point where we're having a conversation. It could either be stimulative or not. Why? Because there's friction. You're not getting me and I'm not getting you.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
the frustration when it comes to mindset. When we're starting to articulate the imprints of our thoughts, they'll either one put you in a box because in a box by saying, who do you think you are? You think you're smarter than us? You
How
think
can
you're
you do
such and
that?
such? And
Yes.
how can you do that? But they don't understand you invested the time for the reprogramming and the processing of your brain to be efficient
Yes.
and be all knowing for the
Yes.
upgrading. And when
Yes.
you start speaking, their processing immediately goes into a wall of defense. Whew, I've got to get it together. I've got to do more reading. I've got to be, because again, that's not your intent, but we're speaking and touching on mindsets. And in the mindsets, because we spend the time to recalibrate our minds, and it's hard for us to find our frequency or our
Mhm.
synergistic
Mhm.
reciprocal
Mhm.
conversationalist. What
Mhm.
we tend to do is dummy down and come down from our high place, and
Yes.
then we're become now listeners and sponges because we could understand and be able to respond or be responsive to what they're saying. But how dare you open your mouth to now speak from a different perspective?
Effective.
And
Yes.
so that comes the frustration. So now you're the one that's sucking up, you're that sponge, because who can echo my thoughts? Who can synergistically have that reciprocated conversation with me? Because there's a height and a depth to you. And so we
Yes.
become
Yes.
bored and become redundant, if you will, and we're frustrated. Who can understand the mind, the consciousness of me? So we keep looking, and so for some people they just stop looking and they just settle. Like, look, who can I talk to? They just, this is it for me. I can't. But trust, there is a circle, there is a tribe, there are a people that you could speak to that have the same sentiments. It just means that you have to bust your way out of, or come out of, or break the barriers of that mindset, that circle. I call it barriers. The scripture says, "Go ye into the world and what? Spread the gospel." But
Mm-hmm.
what it's saying is, go ye into the world and spread, and spread what? The message of Christ, breaking the barriers of one's thinking. First, you break the
Yes,
barriers of one's thinking by
yes,
changing their
yes.
paradigm. And after you change and shift their mindset, and there's an awakening, the light bulb goes up. Then you could get to speak to their hearts. Then you could get to their soul. Thus, the Holy Spirit then manifesting itself. But first, you go beyond the barriers of their mind. Firstly,
And when they get to that point of that barrier breaking, that's when the Holy Spirit can do his job,
yes,
taking over and revitalizing and renewing their mind. But they first have to
yes,
have that breakthrough.
yes,
Wow.
mhm,
Wow.
yeah,
And Coach Danielle says stages of change:
yes,
pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. It's time to make
yes.
a change.
Maintenance is key. Maintenance is key.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's why I keep saying us having, and I said us, the body of Christ, having a 2 day 2 3 day conference is not enough. You have to consistently be penetrating thoughts, penetrating to change and or shift the mind. Why? Because it takes 1,000 years to break a curse, or to break one's thinking, and to break a barrier. When I said 1,000, not 1,000 years, I'm sorry, 100 years. That's a generation. That's a
Yes. Yes.
generation. So
Yes.
what I've learned is what has been passed on to me until there's an awakening. What my parents learn is what they have been what has been passed on to them until there's an awakening, and thus my grandparents. So in order for us to be or make a change, there have got to be a penetration. Thus, like Coach Daniel was saying, that's why we have to be able to maintain it. And a lot of us feel because we go, I'm just going to say it like this: we go to church on Sunday, Wednesday, and or Friday. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Going to church, attending church, hearing the word of God, but going home and studying the word and applying
What you
the word
learned in
makes a
word.
difference.
Yes.
Makes a
Yes.
difference. Makes a
Yes.
difference.
Yes.
Applying. So a lot of them don't apply. They just can't wait to be in attendance to hear, but they do not apply. And we
Yes.
wonder why. Well, they've been in ministry for how many years? They've been attending and going to ministry for almost 15, 20 years. Attendance doesn't mean that they were applying. It just means that they were in attendance. When there is change and radical changes, that
Wow.
means they attended, they applied, they maintained and sustained, and thus comes the change.
Yes. That. Oh, somebody needs to put that in the comments. Somebody, please put that in the comments. Apostle, that you nailed it, because you could sit there for 40 years and still you looking at the same Bible, going to the same church, listening to the same choir, but until you actually apply it,
Yes,
you'll never fully come into the whole power of
come
knowing
on.
the true power of God, what He has deposited in you. Wow. Wow. So
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
are some I call them outside things that could cause you to be stuck? Like for example, and I don't want to use like anything negative, but if an event or a tragedy has occurred in one's life, that can cause their mindset to be stuck. Like,
True.
okay, I can't get over this. This is,
Yes.
my as they say, lot in life. I'm just
Yes.
going to grin and bear it and move on. Or if they don't want to move on, they'll just say, well, I'm just going to self medicate in whatever
Yeah.
way that whatever way they choose.
Yes.
Um, but what are some things that could cause our mindset to be stuck?
And when you said that, Kelly, and when I said it came like it, I mean like a brain hack, which means, and I got to write on it. A lot of people are addicted to negativity.
Ooh,
They're addicted. I tell you, it just came like a brain hack. Boom. And so I'm already thinking right on that. They are
wow,
addicted to negativity.
because that's
And
all they
even
know.
that's all they know. And that's what they want to hold on to. Why? Because that became their narrative. That became their
Yes,
identity. And
yes,
that became their characteristic or their persona.
yes,
So even though there is positivity, then here they come shutting down positivity because they want to keep their narrative. And thus so it is in the body of Christ, where there is present day truth,
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
there is a fight
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
body of Christ, because what are you telling me? This is what I've been knowing. This is what I've been knowing and holding on to since I was a little child. That you're telling me, no, I don't want to let that go. Why?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because you have believed and held on to that myth that it became
Yes.
a
Yes.
narrative, and it
Yes.
became part of your storyline, and it's a part of your philosophy. That's your belief system. So what you do in present day truth or positivity, or it radiates. Positivity is like a light; it radiates, and it's like it's a light, and you're a beacon in a dark place. And what you're doing is bringing light to a dark place, and you are when I talk about radiating or changing the narrative.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
while either one, the wall will go up. Two, they're fighting, bucking against it, because again, they have to be an exchange. And I always tell those that
Yes.
are
Yes.
into, and
Yes.
I'm talking about for those that are into saving souls for real, they have got, you can't go in and be spreading Christ without an exchange. For one that's been holding on to anger for so long, you have to be able to give them peace. You have to be able to give them peace, or show them how they could obtain peace. So they have to be an exchange. So when we're dealing with a mindset, I will never be nothing. I will never be amount to nothing. Before you know it, it's going through the seasons of life, from their childhood, out of their adolescence life, to now their adulthood.
Yes.
And now
Yes.
it took, or it's taken relationships there. And the thing about it is, mindset like that clone, because they're cloning with friends that's thinking, I don't like the way I look, I'm too this, I'm too that. And before you know it, they're echoing, they've become one synergistically, and they're
Yes.
echoing that.
Yes. Yes.
And so what we do is that
Yes.
we clone. That's why it's the envy and jealousy work hand in hand, so
Yes.
they're cloning, they're coming together, they're thick now. So now you have to come and sever. So again, so you tend to draw yourself. If you know you're thinking, I'll never be nothing, I'll never be amount to nothing, if you stay still long enough, you'll hear your friends echoing the
The
same thing.
same
I
thing.
remember God gave me this
Yes.
word. He gave
Yes.
me this word last year. And when he gave it to me, it shook me. And he said, he said, daughter, some people have the prophetic word, or the prophetic, as a wish list. I said, as a wish list? He
Oh
said, yes,
wow.
because they have it a wish list, because they're always waiting. I'm waiting for God to manifest. I'm waiting for God to do this. I'm waiting for God to do this. One thing about the prophetic release is that it has a timing. One thing
Yes.
about our words, it also
Absolutely.
has a timing. And the
Absolutely.
timing is that you will move to follow suit, manifest, or you'll be waiting for time. But in reality, are you waiting for time? What are you waiting for? Because when you start assessing the root of it, is that
Mhm.
either one, there's fear, or two, you don't have the confidence, or three, you don't have the tools and to execute, and you don't know how to. So what are you waiting for? Okay, so the prophetic could be as a wish list, waiting that I'm waiting in a place of waiting, but they really don't believe what they're waiting for. It's like someone with the same mindset, I'm waiting for this, but they don't have the belief system due to
Yes.
doubt
Yes.
and fear and anxiety and their life. And then what also creeps up, I hear this word, Lord, for one that was that full of hope, and they were happy, the disappointment of life by a broken marriage, or deaths,
Yes.
or something
Yes.
happening within the family,
Yes.
could
Yes.
just the life could hit them so hard that it took hope away from them. It took truth away from them. It took their belief system away from them. And so now you have to reintroduce hope. You have to reintroduce life. You have to so it's a continual like a rebirthing, a
Renewing.
redoing,
Yes.
a renewing,
Yes.
a
Yes.
transforming, so it's always beginning. And I'm saying this because for some of us that are either coaches or leaders, we're like, I'm tired and I'm burnt out on this. This is why you're tired. I'm burnt out on this, because you keep helping and showing them, and they just can't see it. And God gave me this word about 2 days ago, and I was sharing it with someone. Broken people, they see what they want to see. It don't matter how much light you give at the end of the tunnel. If broken people see what they want to see, and if they see that it's not going to work, I don't have the money, it will
Mm-hmm.
never work. That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what they say. That's exactly what they see.
What's going to happen? Yes.
Broken
Yes.
people have a
Yes.
different lens. So
Yes.
until healing begins, until there's a change or shifting in mindset by a reintroduction of truth daily. And what helps with that is exposure. Travel culturally. When you travel and you discover, like, oh my God, your lens changed. Now you're seeing, you went from black and white to color. Like, ooh, this is beautiful. So the more you travel, the more you discover the world, the more you explore, the more
Yes.
you
Yes.
expand and go beyond the
Yes.
barriers. Get up, go into another city. Get up, take a flight, go to another state. Just break the
Yes.
barriers of faith. Exposure changes your reality. Education changes the way you look at things. Have a love for words, and you could
Yes.
imagine. You're tapping into your imaginations. That's why I love to speak to authors or writers. Tap into your imaginations, because when you're imagining, there's no boundaries. You see no boundaries.
Absolutely.
All you see is
Absolutely.
possibilities. All you see is possibilities.
Absolutely.
You could create your own world, and there's no ending when it comes to that. So one, again, we're dealing with mindset. Your mindset could be evolutionary, what is changing your way of thinking based on knowledge. It shifts. It could be radical, or it could be fixed, or it could be a growth mindset. And I
Mhm, mhm.
also love this one. Is called also infinite mindset. And infinite mindset has to do with leadership, or requiring to ascend beyond the ego. So we have to decipher when ego was talking and when consciousness is talking. So when you're dealing with infinite, when
Wow.
infinite shuts down ego, it
Okay.
shuts it down and
Okay.
allow consciousness to override. It is what it is, which means we see the bigger picture.
Picture.
Okay.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
put ego aside, and now you believe what? You believe part, or you believe all of anything. With infinite mindset, you see the bigger picture. You think big, which means it is what it is. And because you see it that way, it's going down that way. It's going to manifest that way based on one. And when one is having infinite mindset, it don't matter what's coming, what it looks like, or whatever. They position themselves to, I'm going to conquer this. They
Yes.
again
Yes.
see the end result, so
Yes.
they see the bigger picture. They're very consistent. They don't allow the narrative of low hanging fruit. And when that's why I was saying, based on, we have to learn to shut down ego, because even though we're so conscious at time, again, because we've been living this life based on how old you are, ego, we call it pride, and
Yes.
our
Yes.
fears and our doubts could suffocate or override the language of truth, the language of an infinite mind, the language of
Yes.
your
Yes.
consciousness, you know.
Yes.
So sometimes the greatest battle, not sometimes, most times, we're not fighting the world, we're fighting our inner man, our inner way of thinking.
Okay. If I was a tape player, I would say stop, rewind. Now say that again.
Our
That's good.
greatest battle is
Yes.
is you versus yourself. You are literally overriding the language and the narrative. When I said the language, it's just like when you're at the computer and you're typing. You're typing, but then the computer is what you're inputting, and now it's outputting what you're
What
typing.
you put in.
And then
Yes.
when you go back and you're reading what you type, but you're literally reading your thoughts.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it is, and that is your language. So,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then you're like, oh, that's not really what I want to convey. So here you go. For those that are perfectionists, you start chopping, cutting away. Da, 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 da. That's not what the message I want to convey. I want to say this. Da, 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 da.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now here it is. Now you're double-minded because you're worried about the message that you're conveying. I want to say this, but then you're mindful of how you convey the message. So here you go. You're chopping it down. You're cutting it up. And before you know it, you don't have anything in writing because you have just cut away and broken
Everything.
down what
Yes.
you want to say. That's that inward battle that you're
Yes.
fighting within yourself. There's
Yes.
the subconscious that's overriding the conscious mind. And the subconscious is especially for those that went through trauma, no matter what you've been through in life. And as long as you suppress it and not deal with it, and what you're doing is suppressing it, suppressing it, suppressing it. You're moving forward in life. You've learned to move forward in life. You've learned to press past, push past. But this is what you did. You press down. We've all done it. We've pressed down or pushed down, hide it, if you will, the pain, the agony of what one did to you. It's
Yes.
only until you're in
Yes.
that season and where you're walking and you're minding your business, and then someone says something that gets you all upset. And you're like, why am I upset? What's this coming from? Well, you've been triggered. How? Something reminded you of that pain
What
based
happened?
on what they said
Mhm,
and what they did. So
mhm,
the imprint
mhm,
triggered a memory.
mhm,
Their expression, what they said, triggered a memory. The
mhm.
memory that got tucked away 5, 10 years ago is still piercing through your current day, present day seasons because you never dealt with it. So it's finding a way to show its ugly head. It's going to keep doing that. That's why they're saying that we need to work on our trauma and seek healing, because the more you ascend, the more you evolve, it's gonna get stronger and stronger and stronger. And here comes those. That's why when some people get to their peak, before
Mhm.
you know it, they hit on drugs, they
Right,
fall, and
right,
something
right,
happened. Why?
right,
Because as
right.
long as what they've been doing is pushing past the pain, pushing past the pain. But then when they start dealing with the reality of the thought or the emotion, the imprints of it, they break down.
They break down.
So
Wow.
what we have to do, again, because we're talking about mindsets here, and there's so many mindsets, we have to deal when it comes up. We have to deal with it. We have to face it. Now, why are you bothering me? How is this bothering me? And why now? Hmm. Could it be that you're about to get the greatest, the biggest deal and sign the biggest contract, and all of a sudden you're having these thoughts? Can I do it? Can I really do it? Am I having this? Am I? What, you're trying to find
Wow.
ways to
Yeah.
self sabotage
Uh,
that contract. Is because those thoughts are suppressed and never got dealt with. They got tucked away. And that's why we keep, and I said we keep self sabotaging our great moments, our ascended moments, our doors of wealth, our doors of abundance, because we keep self sabotaging it because we don't think that we are worthy of it, or those
yes.
submitted subconscious thoughts keeps overriding and self-sabotaging those thoughts piercing through again.
Yes,
So
yes,
dealing with
yes.
mindsets, so that's where we go, because again, we keep pressing it. We develop that growth mindset. We keep pressing past it. But at one point, you're going to have to face it. Otherwise, it's going to keep showing its ugly head. It's going to keep showing its ugly head.
You know, when you said that years ago, I was going through something, and I didn't want to face it. And the
Mm,
Spirit of the Lord said, "Face the fear, don't fear the
mm-hmm.
face."
Okay.
In other words, face it, but don't fear who you have to face.
Mm,
And
mm,
I
mm,
was
mm.
liberated from that moment. Like, face the fear, don't fear
Yes.
the face, because He has
Mm,
not given
mm.
us a spirit of fear.
Yes.
And as you were talking about self sabotage, I think it was 2 days ago. I think
Mm,
I posted a video on
mm-hmm.
my page on Facebook
Uh-huh.
called oh, what did she call it? Um, the benefit of the doubt.
Mm,
I don't know if you saw that.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know this. I can't even think of her name, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to plagiarize
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. But I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember her name. But anyway, she talks about she and her colleague were talking about some
Mm-hmm.
industry things and what have you. And he said, "Have you ever thought about X, Y, and Z?" She said,
Mm-hmm.
"I thought about it." And he immediately cut her off and said, "So you gave them the benefit of your doubt."
Mm.
And I went,
Hmm.
benefit of the doubt. I'm thinking that means, okay, I'm going to give you another chance to prove
Yeah.
yourself and explain. As she slowed it down, slow down the words, you gave them the
Mm.
benefit of your
Mm.
doubt. So in
Powerful.
other words, when you doubt,
Yes.
someone else is going to benefit from the
Mm-hmm.
blessing that God had for you.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I was blown away, blown away. So for those
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think we have several of us that's on this line, even for those that's in the chat. I think we have a couple questions as
yes,
well.
we do. And we're
You
coming
are
to you.
at you're at your verge, and I'm only saying that because this is where I'm at, where I'm shifting and putting things in place. And in doing so, This is what the creator, told me. He said, where you're at, your capacity is full. So you don't have room for the abundance. And I was like, what? You know, and he showed me where my hands were busy all of these
Yes,
years.
yes,
And
yes,
because my hands were busy all of these years, I was pouring out to the point where I almost became bankrupt. I'm going here. This is for somebody. Trust this is for somebody.
wow,
And as long as you are feeling and doing, your energy replenishes.
yes,
But
yes,
that don't mean that your soul wouldn't become bankrupt. Why? Because even in doing so, you're still looking for one that has the same mind, synergistic. I don't care how intellectual, how based on your vernacular, how eloquent, whatever you speak.
yes,
When it
yes,
comes to synergistic height and depth of reasoning, it's few and in between. And so, and I say that because there's pioneers on this line, and I'd liken to you, Kelly. When you are trending and you're pioneering, you are literally fixing your mind and you're aligning and you're navigating time based
yes,
on what you're seeing and you're
yes,
putting things into
yes,
place. And in doing so, you might not be one to articulate what you're doing, but just so you know that you're in the right place at the right time and you are literally doing the right thing, all of a sudden, you have people telling, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. That you don't do that. Why
yes,
are you doing that? Why are you doing that?"
yes,
And for me, I was laughing. What if I wasn't strong enough? I'm speaking to somebody. What if you wasn't strong enough? What if
yes.
you were weak? You would have allowed the imprint of their
Forfeited it.
doubts
Yes,
to
yes,
forfeit your birthright.
yes, yes,
To
yes,
forfeit your birthright. And so with that, I laughed. The next day, Kels, I had a dream. I was walking, and when I was walking, people was grabbing at me. I'm pulling out my arm. And I hear the Spirit of the Lord said, pull your arm. But at the same time, so I pulled it gracefully, but I had to pull it forcefully. And so what he did was showing me what you're about to do and where you're going. There are those that's going to be pulling on you
on
because
you.
you are a place
Yes,
of comfort. I'm speaking to someone.
yes, yes,
We're still talking about mindsets. We're still talking about mindsets because when there's an advancement and you're moving and you're mobilizing, again, you're trending and you're moving. Everybody's not going to have the same pace. They're not going to have the same momentum. I don't care if we could speak on the same
yes,
language or we have the same
yes,
language, or we could, I mean,
yes,
express, or we're juggling back and forth. What makes the difference is the doing, the
come on, Apostle.
manifesting, the impact. And when you're making impact, your impact is not just an impact. Your impact is just as is very explosive. It's like a bomb. Boom. That's what you're doing when you're literally moving with impact because you're moving with force. So when you have your mind made up and now you're going from fixed mindset to growth mindset,
Yes,
and you're
yes,
maneuvering in your infinite mindset. Now you're tapping into your creative mindset because now you are tapping into your creative juices. Now you're moving with innovation
yes,
and
yes,
you're now creating and you're putting things in
yes,
place and you're putting products in place and you're putting programs in place, and here it is, now you're in a place to give back to the community, and so now you're tapping into your creative mindset. And so now, based on your creative or your innovative mindset, it's like, what are you doing? You're questioning, what are you doing? Why? Because you became the disruptor. You're disrupting time. You're disrupting the norm. I'm going somewhere with this. You're disrupting the norm. It's your time. And you're
yes,
disrupting the
yes,
norm. And
yes,
only pioneers identify pioneers. Only trendsetters identify trendsetters.
yes,
Because when
yes,
a pioneer identify a pioneer, they're like, hey, I got you. Come on. They're catapulting you.
yes, yes,
That,
yes,
here it is. It's quantum leap. Let me help you. Here, take a leap. You're at your, my God, you're about to launch to the point where you're launching like a rocket taking off. That's where you're at. Because your mindset is changing again from fixed to growth to infinite, again to
yes,
creative.
yes,
There's more
yes,
than one, and you're tapping into your creative juice, and God is giving you the strategies, and you're flowing. And so now you're moving with the energy and you're fluid. You're fluid. You're fluid. So I'm saying that to say this: be encouraged, because as you move and you're moving with force, and you're moving with the prophetic tailwind in your back and at breakneck speed, which means your acceleration changes, your
Yes.
momentum changes. That's how you know you're in the will of the Father, because things are dropping in your lap. And before you know it, how did I get here? How
Get,
did this happen?
how did I get
Who
from
did
there
that?
to here? Yes.
It,
Yes.
that's how you
Yes.
know that
Yes.
you're in you are aligned and syncopated with the alignment of the Father. And of course, this is how you know that you're in alignment, because all hell is breaking loose. You
Breaking
know why
loose.
all hell is breaking loose?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you're coming out of the normality of
Yes.
the atmosphere
Yes.
or environment you were living in. So
Yes.
now here
Yes.
comes the pulling. Stay, remain, stay, remain, stay, remain. When you got to go. I hope I'm encouraging someone. So even with your mindset, again, stay fluid, keep moving, and at the same time, move with the force,
Yes.
move with the wind in your back, and move with a mindset that's confident in what you're doing, confident in who you're serving and who you're representing. Again, from
That's
fixed
my
to
part.
growth to infinite to creative mindset. And now you have that confident mindset. And you know what you know, what you know. Confident mindset. Okay, Kels, I think you said you had some
Woo!
questions.
Apostle, the doors of the church are not open. Is there one? That is wow. What do y'all see why she's back? Apostle. Now do you see why she's called I call her a purpose pusher. So yes, we have a question from Apostle Sheldine. If God is all knowing, why then are we afraid to exploit the knowing of who we are beyond generational cycles? Ooh, that's good.
Good question. But of course, again, God is all knowing. And yes, even though we are spiritual beings, remember, based on the womb in which we came out from, based on the life or the lifestyles and the circle of life that we are living and representing, and we have lived. Remember, and I'm going to put it this way, it wasn't my parents to think, it wasn't their mindset to think fearful or be fearful, but because they have experienced some things that, and then still, I don't care how grown I am with kids and have grandkids, they'll still tell me, don't do it, don't do it. Why? Don't do it. Again, they don't matter. It don't matter if I'm an adult. There's like, don't do it, don't do it. Don't push it, don't press it. I'm like, I'm gonna push it, I'm gonna press it. And so I'm reminding them of who they were. But life happened to the point where, again, because you're pressurized, it'll buckle you down. When pressure is up against you so hard to the point where you could feel it on your shoulders,
Weight of it.
and
Yes.
you're broken and you're frozen and you can't move. So fear didn't just happen. Fear was already instilled from childhood, based on what you saw, based on what you experienced. And fear is not something we deal with every day until something comes up.
Triggers it.
Now,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, again, so we don't deal with that, even though we're, again, existing and pressing past our way. So even though we're serving a conscious God, and we are made a little bit lower than the angels, and we are made in his image, the Father knows, based on society, culture, your upbringing, who you intermarry, who you went to school with, work with. Remember, there's always an exchange of worldviews. There's always an exchange of paradigms. And
Yes.
whether we dismiss it, not all are being dismissive, because some of these words or worldview are being seated in our mind. So the question is, where did fear begin? It started from childhood, even in the womb, when your parents were carrying you, based on the word spoken. Based on the word spoken, you were born with it. You were born with it. So we just have to deal with it. Again, it takes trials and experience and what we're facing daily to be able to exercise who we are. And I'm gonna give you an example. I was dealing with something the other day, Kels, and I was like, okay, how can I raise the money and how can I do such and such? And I'm juggling. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna push my books. I'm push my books. Hear me, Kels. Okay, I'm gonna push my books. So I'm pushing books. Hey, you would like to, 3 books for 14. Da, 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 da. And as the funds were coming in, I was like, oh my God. It shook me. Why did it shook me? I didn't expect the outcome. Why I didn't expect the outcome? And when I got quiet, still enough, I heard the Spirit of the Father said, never you again question your intelligence, which is my intelligence. Those books was written by my breath, my ruach, my mind.
Wow.
And you were questioning what you were impregnated with.
Wow.
So God had to show me.
Wow.
I'm speaking to someone. So even though he showed me, his consciousness, my wiring, still we were made humans. We're still dealing with emotions.
Yes.
And even though I know the caliber and each person who had the mindset and what they wrote from and the frequency of which they speak and release, even then I was like, I don't know. Because at that point, my timing and what I was dealing with was a priority. But God had to override that and say, never you doubt my intelligence and what you were impregnant with. And again, based on knowing. It's based on knowing. And this is why I say that, because even last night in teaching, or yesterday when I was doing the video for the students in Nigeria and preparing, and I was going over my book, and my chapter was dealing with the kingdom economies, who they are and who you are, and you in the marketplace. And while I was teaching it, I had to read the words that I wrote, which was the imprint of God's words in my mind. And the tears was coming down, Kelly. You know why? Because God had to remind me, you're worried about a business. I'm a CEO. I'm the one. I ask you to steward, my God, be a dispenser in the earth. To be a dispenser, dispense my glory through your product. When did we get to the point where that my programs and services, whatever, I'm projecting, I'm putting this about the funds, the monies, whatever. He said, you are the dispenser first and foremost.
Yes.
I am your CEO.
Yes.
You are an economist, which means you admin and you dictate, be the policy holder, navigate, initiate, and legislate the word, my principle in the earth realm as you dispense.
Yes.
So what he had to do is bring me back in alignment. When did you start worrying about the structure of your business, which is mine? When did you start structure? See, what happened is I got, Missy, this is what we do. We got out of the alignment. And that was God's way of bringing me back into alignment. Hey, get it together. So that's when fear creeps in. And we're like, oh my God, I got to deal with this because we're out of alignment. So that's where distrust comes in, or we're disconnected. But when we're under the umbrella, under the ruach, and we're feeling and the embodiment in our environment, and we're in the presence of the Father, there is no fear. But that's our normality. But when we're come out of that place, now we go back to our emotions, the imprint, which is overriding the mind of God. So I say that to say this. God had to remind me. Yes, you're telling them, you're teaching them, but I'm reminding you and tell them that I said that I am the CEO, even though we're at the era of where this economy is changing and shifting. Even though, and I'm speaking to those that's on the line, even though we're in the era of where the economy is shifting, life is changing, everything around you is changing. Remember,
yes,
he is the CEO of your life, the head of your life. He is the source and you're the resource. So yet again, because we're a multidimensional beings, we are shifting according to the dimensions and realm in which we occupy. Remember, even to the role and the authority in which you occupy also requires for a change of mindset.
Yes.
It says, sit here at my right hand. And he's talking to my manifested son. So the manifested son don't think about my bills, don't think about car note, don't think about this. Their intelligence, their consciousness, the heaven, I said it, the consciousness of God Because we are the governing, the kingdom dwells in us
Yes, yes,
in
yes,
this earthen
yes,
vessel.
yes,
So the
yes,
government is first governed in us, and then we govern and legislate outwardly. So even in that per rank, per rule, per position, you either be that one that legislate, you sanction, you deputize, you align, you set to order and put things in place. But per realm, per dimension requires a higher ascension. And even your
yes.
mindset and the way you are thinking
That's
in
yeah, the
one realm
yes,
cannot enter into another realm. So a lot of these emotions that we have been suppressing and we've been dismissing, it's time for us to start dealing with it. No, I had enough of you. You have ruled my life for X amount of years, and you're not. Fear, abandonment, anxiety. Enough of you.
yes,
You got to
yes,
go. Let me
yes,
deal with this. Let me deal
yes,
with you head on. Let me deal with you head on. Because you will not creep
yes.
into, you will not occupy, and you will not take place or rooting and show your ugly head in the places or realm or spaces that I occupy and dominate. But again, we're human beings. I
Of
hope that
course,
answered your
of
question.
course.
I think you had another question.
The other question, nope, that was it. But
Okay.
if you do have any questions, please post them in the comments, and Apostle will be more than glad to answer them for you. Hey, Dr. V. Hello, Fitz, all the way from the UK. Thank you for joining our conversation talking about the mindset. And again, please put your comments and questions in the comments. Um, please put your comments and questions in the comment section. Oh man, Apostle,
Mm-hmm.
wow, wow, wow. I know I use that word a lot, but that's the only way, audible way I can articulate all of that download and all of that information. And I pray,
Because a lot of the mindsets that we have, Kels, based on our again, their imprints. When I say imprints, based on what we've heard, it became an imprint. It became an imprint, and it's or seated in our mind. But a lot of what we're dealing with as a people or as a person, it have nothing to do with us because we're still dealing with the reasoning of our parents and our foreparents. That's the way they think. That's the way they thought. Okay, and I'm gonna give you an example. Just like one being hired on a new job, that job has its own culture,
yes,
and it
yes,
also has its own way of their mindsets. You know what I'm saying? So based on that job, and then when you go from into church, that church has its own culture. It
yes,
also has its own
yes,
mindset. Now
yes.
you go visit another church, you'll see, oh, this is different.
Totally
Why?
different. Yes,
Immediately you identify, oh, this is different.
yes,
Look at the way they do things. Again,
yes,
it's just projecting the imprints of one thoughts and process. And then, and again, it tells about the culture, about that ministry, but that's how it's wiring. So based on how you're wired, and again, a lot of, I'm going to put it this way. A lot of us will keep blaming the enemy, and he's just sitting back and watching us and just having a good old time because we keep blaming him for something that he didn't do.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Again, it's just based on our thinking and
mm-hmm,
or reasoning,
mm-hmm.
you know, based on thinking and reasoning. And when we need to start going back to the root of it and be the one to have that axe and start cutting at the root. Start cutting at the root. And I don't know, I'm hearing this because a lot of you are shifting and a lot of you are going to transition. And because based on the model in which you're executing, they're not familiar with it. It's new to them. And so because they cannot relate, they either one, it's not going to work. Two, that doesn't make sense. Or three, just like, okay, an example, just like when COVID hit, it forced a lot of these ministry into hybrid ministry, and it was like, oh my God, and
Yes,
and we had I'm talking about an overwhelming response to online ministry, online business, but a lot
yes,
of birthing, but
yes,
but guess what? Those businesses, and when they made their presence known, they were already thinking like that. You see what I'm saying? They were already thinking like that. Time or event or a sequence of
yes,
event, it forced them to make a decision. And what I'm saying is that God is forcing us to make a decision. He's
Yes.
given us
Yes.
signs, signals. He's even given us dreams. And he's also sending someone to tell us about it, but we're not heeding and we're not listening. And we're still trying to convince them. In reality, you're not trying to convince them. You're trying to convince yourself
Yes.
that
Yes.
you make the right decision. And guess what? You're going to be forever trying to convince yourself. But just reminding you of what Miles Monroe said, do not go to the grave empty. Do not go to the
Absolutely.
grave empty. And that's where I'm at, even in my work and what I'm doing. It's like, and I went years ahead, and this is where I'm at in my present. And I start thinking of a generation holding my book. Based on my content now, will a generation ahead, will it be fitting? Would they be able to read it? Would it be, how would
Yes.
it do?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
start thinking again, that's my mindset, because I'm thinking fast forward ahead and now in my present day. So when you're looking at your structure in your mind, whether business or relationship or ministry, will a generation be able to benefit from your contribution to humanity? That's
And
how you look at your mindset.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and isn't that just like um, how awesome God is? Oh, I think Apostle, did we lose you? I think her connection dropped.
Okay.
Oh, there she is. There she is. All right. But that's just like when you look at Smith Wigglesworth, the books and
Say that.
things. Smith Wigglesworth.
Okay, say it again. I was missing the part, the
Oh,
beginning part.
the Smith Wigglesworth wrote all of his writings. How many years ago? And look at how
Mm-hmm.
many people are still being blessed by
Yes.
the writings that he wrote decades ago.
Yes.
And so you what I hear you saying is you have to not just only think about your obedience and your getting unstuck for now, but also who can benefit from you getting unstuck. You get it, you can help them, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes. And remember, a mindset has a state.
Yes.
A mindset has a state. And just because, and this is where maturity comes in. Again, because we're human, one that's always thinking positive, and one day had that one day have a breakdown, like, oh my God, I can't do this. Those that are not mature, it's like, what happened to him? What happened to her? She's always positive. Oh my gosh, she's going through. Da, 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 da. And the next day they bumps right back up and they're doing them again. Remember, again, because we're human beings, what we're dealing with has a state. The state could be temporal or the
Mhm.
state could be temporary. Now, the temporal state, sometimes it lasts for years. Jesus
Yes,
Christ.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
some people think, will she ever get over it? Will they ever come out of that state? They always don't have nothing. They're always broke. They always, again, it's a temporal state. And however, you have to go through that state until you get it, until you
Yes,
get the lesson,
yes,
until you pass the test,
yes, yes.
until you change your strategy, until you come out fighting. Sometimes God allows things just to see if you have a fight in you, just to see if you still have a fight in you.
Wow,
Or are you going to fight for what I entrusted you with? I hear the Spirit of the Lord.
wow, wow,
So
wow.
are you going to let, again, one's temporal state of deceive or betrayal or hurt shut you down to the point where you can't function? And now you're shutting down what God has entrusted you with, what He's allowed you to be a steward. Only you, by your DNA and imprints, He allowed you to be a steward over that. So the abundance of life could come through you, through the generations that's coming and being birthed through you, connected to you.
Yes, yes.
And some of us are allowing, again, even though that's not us, but we have gotten to that place where we're allowing pain and agony to have us to where we're so angry that we don't want to deal with people.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
We don't want to do this. This hurts. Of course it hurts. Anything that you have been entrusted with, business, education,
Yes,
ministry, whatever that has been trusted to you, deception is going to creep in. True people are going to come. Loyalty is going to come. Naysayers are going to come. Of course, that is the norm. It is to test your character, to see if you're going to push, or will you wither out, or will you die? Will you buckle? Will you
yes,
fight? What will you do? What is your
yes,
mindset? How
yes,
would you stand? Will you keep your posture?
yes,
Will you keep pressing? What is to test your character? But it's to see how much you will lean in to the pen, or put your ear inclined to the Father. Look, this page right here is agonizing. I can't deal with this no more. So I need help before, because I'm telling you, I'm about to. You know how those Baptists say, it's only the Baptists that experience that. I'm telling you, that's the first time I heard it when I came to Texas. I would lay my religion down. I go, what? Who does that? Can you do that? I would lay my religion down. So that means I would lay my religion down, whoop your tail, and come back to
right,
Christ.
right,
And I'm like,
right.
and I was like, can that be done? But I was, but I'm just saying, sometimes we all do get like that. Look,
Yes,
you
yes.
bringing out the hood in me. Look,
Look.
you bringing out the look. I'm from the
Take off
island,
the
so I'm
earring.
like, you're bringing out the Badgill in me in a real tenure, a real
Yes,
way. But I'm just
yes,
saying,
yes,
But then when we lean into the Father, like, look, you got to help me because how I'm feeling right now. Look, and when we reel and lean into the Father, and He comforts your soul, and then you release it, it's like, okay, I needed that, and then you get your perspective back in gear. What I'm saying is that what you're dealing with is the norm. It's the norm. We all go through it, and guess what?
yes,
The more
yes.
you ascend, the more you evolve. It'll be a different face, but the same testing, deception, betrayal, the same thing to agitate, get under your skin. It's gonna always come a different face. Anything, because what it's doing is poking at your weaknesses until you take the time to say, look, this is my weaknesses,
Your
this
strength.
is my strength. A lot
Yes,
of us only what we're doing is in the body of Christ, especially, they cultivate their strengths and leave their weaknesses and say, well, I'm just gonna leave it up to God and He's gonna deliver me. No, boo. You work on your weaknesses and you also work on your strength. Okay. So again, that's dealing with mindsets, mindsets, wiring of how you think and how you process.
wow, Apostle. Woo! We got to have some questions. I know if there are, I don't know how many people watching
Mm-hmm.
out there listening to our conversation, but please make sure this is your opportunity to glean, to get answers. And also, if you do not want to put your comments out publicly, if you're dealing with something privately, inbox me or inbox Apostle. I have my phone right here. I'm ready. So if you want to inbox me, you certainly can, and I will not share with anybody. I will just read the question, but nobody will know who asked the question. So again, Apostle, man, this mindset is so crucial because what does the word say? As a man thinketh,
So is he.
so is he. And you're
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right. I think it was Henry Ford that says, if you think you can, you will. If you think you
You
can't,
will.
you're
You
right.
won't. Mm-hmm.
So thinking is very, very, very powerful. Um, and
But
you
oh
have,
God, Kelly, that's another thing. You said it. Thinking is powerful, but we'll be surprised of those that don't do it, or is that a very limited. We had this discussion just piggybacking off of the last platform with Ashley in regards to
yes,
sit down
yes,
discipline of the church, and I
yes.
was telling her you will be surprised of those in the body of Christ that do not think for themselves, because I gotta speak to my bishop. I can't do this without this one, and I can't. And I remember having this conversation that my girls were with me, and I'm listening. I'm talking about this is live in real life, and she was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about relocating, and but Texas offers more money for teachers, and da 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 da. But I gotta talk to my bishop about it." And I looked at her like, and my girls looked at me like, "Mom, let's go." So I said, okay, we got to go. They don't have the patience I have. Ooh, who we got in that car? I'm just saying, Kelly, the girls that were hot. So wait a minute. This is what the church doing now. I'm just saying, a lot of us are not, we're dummied down to the point where we're not thinking, processing. And God would allow things just like he did for Job. He would
Yes. Yes.
allow things to get our response. Remember, God is a responsive God. When he visits us, when he visits or there's visitation, he's coming to hear himself, the echo of his voice, the echo of his thoughts. And so he's looking for a response. And a lot of us in the body of Christ, though we have a pulse, we don't have a response. A lot of us are flatline. Though we have a response, though we have a pulse,
Wow.
we don't have a response. A lot of us are flatline. We're so programmed to the point where we're so redundant. It's like we're just going, there's no life. Okay, whatever, whatever. So a lot of us are not thinking, and even thinking hurts. Like you said, it hurts to think. Why does it hurt to think? Again, they've been wired that way, based on situation, based on the oppressive state. That they are not thinking. It's okay, and I put it this way. What do you mean? It's just like a woman that has been married to a man, and they've been married for all these years, and he has been taking care of everything until one day, just say God forbid he passed on or whatever. She don't know, how do I pay the bills? How do I do this? How do I do this? She don't. So all these years she's grown so dependent upon him, and everything has been taken care of, that she's been living in a bubble until life happens. And so now life is telling her you have to respond, but she don't know how to respond.
Yes.
How to respond.
Yes.
How do I pay the bills? And where's the light company? And where's this? And what's that? And how do I do that? So now she's responding and becomes overwhelming, and the pressure, because now she got to deal with life for real and deal with something that she has been forced to not to deal. So I'm saying a lot of us are in that place where we're not thinking, we have a pulse, but we're not responsive. And so when life happens, it's saying, I need for you to respond. That's why I was saying, God would allow some things to see if there's still a fight in you. Will you hold on to this? What would you do? How would you respond? And he's waiting for us to respond. Remember, heaven awaits you, and heaven desires to partner with you. So a lot of things that we're doing in the earth realm, though God is our source, heaven, all creation has been waiting for you to get your mind right, for you to become, for you to accept, embrace sonship, and then take on the authority and the role to say, I'm going to contribute with the universe to play my role in life, to be a contributor to the next great minds. So a lot of us have great contribution, and we're not contributing. This is what I'm saying. I'm thinking about starting ministry. I'm thinking about doing this. How long you been doing it? I don't know. When are you going to do it? I don't know. And that's been in that mode looping for 20 years. I don't know. I've been thinking, you ever spoke to someone, Kelly, and they got notes upon notes? I should have did this. I got this. When are you going to do it? I don't know. I'm just waiting for what? So they're stuck in the loop. Like like how we do it on YouTube, you place repeat.
Yes.
Before we had the record player or the record player, we just press replay or go back. That's what they're doing. They're looping. And guess what? A lot of us have done so ourselves because we couldn't see our way out. When you're broken people have their own lens, and broken people don't see a way out until there's an opening, or their mindset have been shifted, or someone brings light to them, or there's revelation there. That's that aha moment that goes on in their life, and say, you know what, I could do this. And then after they realize that they could do it, they start asking this question: my God, how long have I been like this?
Why did I do it?
Responsive.
Exactly. Exactly. And I can definitely relate to, okay, I don't have this. I don't have this. I don't have enough, funds. I don't have enough connections, and, but when you step out on faith and just say, God, I'm going to be obedient to you, because not only am I responsible for my obedience is tied into, as I said earlier, someone else's delivery, someone else's
Come on.
salvation, possibly. I mean, you just never know. You just never know. So I had to get to the point where I had to look at my circle of friends, and not that I thought, oh, well, I have done this now, so I'm better than them. No, no. But the ones that are still, as you say, in that loop with that negative, one day I'm gonna do it. How can you do it? Who do you think you are? Why you? I had to say, you know what? I love you. I will be there with you, supporting you if you need whatever I can do. But I got to go. I got to move because you are holding me back
Yeah.
because all we're doing is just talking
And there's
back
no doing.
and nothing's happening.
Hmm.
And not
And
that
now
I
you
need,
hear differently. You hear
yes,
differently and you see differently. And you didn't see them
yes,
as a distraction. Now it's like, oh my God, they're a distraction. You know, you start you start
absolutely,
seeing differently, you start hearing differently, and like, what did I do to myself? Oh my God.
absolutely.
Hmm.
And that's why in the green room I was joking, but I was really serious. How you've impacted me, and that's why I said, okay, well, wherever they go, whatever they're doing, I want to be a part of it because I see the oil, I see the how God is using your
Hmm.
platform, your influence. So I'm a
Hmm.
part of it. Where I'm just gonna be stuck like a bug in the rug, or whatever however they
Come
say
on. Yes.
because I want to be where the oil is. And I've
Mm.
always been very teachable and want to learn how to ascend to that next level. Because, like you said, Miles Monroe pinned it perfectly. The graveyard is the area where the richest people are. The most,
That's
I mean,
true.
the absolute gazillionaires
That's
and
true.
billionaires and are in the grave.
That's true.
Not because,
I,
of course, we
hmm.
all have to, go that way, but inside of them were books and businesses and dreams,
Yes.
ideas and information that is priceless. But they died without even trying to even
Hmm.
do anything with it.
Come on. Come on.
So their purpose and all that is, I mean, they lived a great life. That's good. But was it a fulfilled life? Did they fulfill the destiny that God placed them here for?
Yes.
And a lot of people, unfortunately, they can't say that they did. So
Hmm.
you're right. I want to leave empty.
And not only not leaving empty, but impacting a legacy. Because again, with your mindset reveal who you are. Your mindset also speaks of who you are based on your character. And when you know who you are, because you know whose you are, when you
Yes,
know who you know your value and your worth, to even to the point of, as for me, I could say, based on you encountering me, you will be impacted. Based on you working with me, I guarantee you, just give me 2 to 3 months with you, and I guarantee you, because I know what I
yes,
know that I know. Based on
yes,
our impact or our contact, I'm telling you, it's going to manifest or it's going to happen. Why? Because I know my worth. I know my value. I know how I initiate. I know my imprints in the earth. I know based on who I am that there will be an impact. And I'm telling you that my presence alone, based on even my 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that there will be an impact.
yes,
Not
yes,
being cocky, but what I'm saying, that's where the
yes.
confident mindset comes in. That I
Absolutely.
know, that I know, that I know who I am. And why? Because I understand how I was in a place or a season where I was questioning who I am. Why am I wired like that? How is it I could see 3D, past, present, and future? And I went from asking God why I don't get it, I don't understand, to asking God, why me? Why you give? Because the more you see is the more he entrusts you with his secrets.
Oh, somebody need to write that in the comments. Say that again, Apostle.
The more you see,
The more you see.
the more you see without telling, because a lot of people see and they hold it against you
Yes,
and
yes,
they wait till they get mad and then they blurt it out.
yes,
But
yes,
maturity says you become a brother keeper, you become a gatekeeper of the soul and a gatekeeper of the mind. And
Yeah.
so just because you could see, that don't mean it's for you to tell people what you see or what you saw.
Unless
So the more God,
God
go
says,
ahead.
yes.
Yes,
Unless God says yes.
unless God says. Because
Yes.
not only with sight, you hold time, you burst time, you release time, you initiate time, you disrupt time based on holding secrets. Matter of fact, you could become one that's being bringing turbulence to an atmosphere based on what you see, sight, and hear, based on the knowledge in which you hear, based on the knowledge in which you carry, based on the knowledge in which you are pregnated with. Again, but that's where maturity comes in. So when we speak about mindset, again, it's just the way how you're wired, the way how you're thinking based on your thoughts. But then the brain has its own womb, just as the stomach has its own womb and the heart has its own womb. So again, as you are learning and developing and embracing who you are, and as you are changing and becoming your predestined state, you're becoming your predestined state. Temperament will change. Your mindset will change. Your again, when I said temperature, your temperament, you'll become less patient. Oh, I entertain that. What? No. You
Oh
become more
my God, that's
protective.
foolishness. Yes,
You
yes,
become
yes.
protective, not about you, but become protective about your time.
Time. Yes.
Mhm. Because
Yes.
you initiate time. And at that point, you become a protector of time because you're becoming a protector of time for legacy. I got work to do. I got to be here. I got things I got to do. Like, there's things I got to initiate, things I got to execute. There's things that you got to put down. There's things that have the breath, the ruach of God that signifies God's glory in the earth realm that you have to burst out. So there's certain things you just don't entertain.
And
You don't
foolishness
have time. Come on.
is one.
Yeah, come on.
And the negativity is the other.
Yes. Come
if,
on.
if it's going to be, oh, well, why do you think you can do that? How you going to do that? And
Yes.
are you sure?
Don't have
That's
time to explain.
look, that's what I hold up the Baptist finger. Deuce.
Yes.
I love you, but
Gotta go.
gotta go. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Not kicking you, out of my life or anything like that, but I cannot allow that negativity to affect what I am supposed to be doing, getting me off track.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
do we have any questions? I don't see any questions. I see a whole lot of comments, though, Apostle. So you have really, really struck a nerve, and hopefully ignited some fire under some lives that are watching and are listening to this conversation. So the last thing we want to talk about before we go is give us in summary, like a synopsis of what can we do to get unstuck.
Self-assessment.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
that's another thing we don't like to do.
mm-hmm.
We like to ask why. Why did I get here? Why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. But self-assessment, ask yourself why. What initiated you to put up or allow and sustain? I said that to say this. Dealing with mindsets again. Remember, as you grow and evolve, there's still some consequences that we're dealing with based on the old version of us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So when we
mm-hmm.
start dealing with self-assessments and you start dealing with the root of it, again, you're dealing with something that you did in your 5 years ago that now you're reaping for reaping it. And so now if you don't put a root to it, it's going to continue to grow and show its ugly head. So this is why I'm saying self-assessment as to why am I thinking like that and how did I start thinking like that? Get to the root of it.
Yes,
Get to the root
yes,
of it. And
yes.
how did it happen? Where did that seed come from? And does the wiring of that thought? Does the wiring of that thought? So assess not only the whys, but get to the root of that why to get unstuck.
To get unstuck. Wow. That's just
Mm-hmm.
like that that ice or that rug that you put near the tire when your car is stuck in the snow and the ice, because that momentum will help get you unstuck. Man.
A lot of us are trying to get out of it, but in reality, the Father wants you to be an example. Just like Joseph wanted to get out the pit. It wasn't his desire to be in the palace, to rule and legislate in the palace. He just wanted out. He told the baker, remember me, because he wanted out
Out.
of
Yes.
prison. It
Yes.
wasn't his thought for him to rule from the palace. So a lot
Yes.
of us just want out
Yes.
of this place that I'm stuck, out of this prison, out of this oppressive state, out of this depression, out. Forgetting that the Father wants not only you to get out, but also for you to rule, dominate, and allow a nation to benefit from your decision.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Allow a nation to benefit from your decision. So I say that to say this: come out of hiding. Come out of hiding. So a nation can benefit from your decision.
Wow. Apostle OMG. There is not enough minutes that we could spend to
Yeah.
try to, carry on this conversation. A conference, or we're gonna have to do something else. Part 3,
Sure.
something,
Sure. Yeah.
because that has been so rich. And I pray that you all were blessed and empowered. Let me know in the comments the one nugget that she said that you are going to implement in your life today, starting today. Oh, hey, Bonnie, how are you? She says, allow a nation to benefit from your decision. Come out of hiding. Absolutely. Absolutely. No more
Yeah.
hiding.
We just want out. When in reality, there's too much in us to just hide or wither away. I just want to live a simple life.
Yes.
I
Yes.
just, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting, every time I look, I'm just getting beat up. I'm just getting one hit left, right, and center. I just want to live a quiet life. You've been chosen. You have been chosen. So even though you want out, God wants you out so you'll be able to rule, so you'll be able to legislate.
Yes.
Nehemiah just wanted to be able to help his people. He left as a cupbearer and entered into the region as a governor. He was
Wow.
serving the king only for him to now rule a
Wow.
people. He left to help
Wow.
them to restore his people. He had no idea that God was going to use him as a governor to cancel debt, help them to get reparation, get their lands back, get them people aligned, connect families together. His mere thought was, and it grieved him, I just want to be able to help my people. He left as a cupbearer and entered into the region as a
That's
governor.
the covenant.
So a lot of us just want out, but God has a greater plan for us.
Yes.
And he had to build the wall in 52 days. And even now in history, it don't matter what you read in history, Nehemiah was the shortest wall built, 52 days, but the shortest wall built. He left as a cupbearer. Every president, even now in the US, in this present day, the first thing they do is tackle Jerusalem. And I'm like, God, why are they going out to Jerusalem? Because Jerusalem is the headquarters for the marketplace.
Wow. Right. You're right.
So
You're
he
absolutely
left as the cupbearer, but he entered into the region as a politician. That was not his scope. That was not even his mind. That was not his mindset. God had a greater plan for him. Joseph just wanted out of the prison. But now he's telling Pharaoh what to do. He's interpreting dreams. Who does that? Okay. I'm just saying, come out of hiding. I know you want out, you just want to live a simple life. I just want to be able to pay my bills, and just live a quiet life. I'm tired. But God
yes.
has greater plans for you. He
Yes.
needs your mind. He needs your intelligence. He needs your strategy. He's downloading because only you and you alone. My God, he needs you, the solutionist, to put things in place. He needs you on the scene, and he's not going to stop until. So it's only you to be able, one, to respond, or two, not to respond. But I guarantee you, if you don't do it, he's going to raise up another. And guess what? When God raised up another, the first thing they do is he's doing, she's doing what God gave me, but you're not doing it. Go put a copyright on that and see if it's gonna work. Because it ain't gonna work because you're not gonna do it. I'm just saying.
That goes back to that. You gave them the benefit of your doubt.
Of the doubt. Okay. So I'm just saying.
Someone else picked up the reins and benefited from what you were supposed to do. Wow. And Miss Jenny said he had an assignment that he didn't know about for sure. Absolutely.
Come on. That wasn't in his mind. That wasn't his mindset. He just wanted out.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to just encourage you all before we end this conversation. We talked just a minute ago about not allowing the naysayers and those people who are around you that are not, they are around you, but they are not supporting you. They're not encouraging you. There are 86,400 seconds in a day. Don't give 1 minute to anybody that's going to cause you to doubt what God has said about you, doubt what God is going to do in you and through you. So what are you going to do with the 84,540 seconds left? So I want to leave you with that. What are you going to do with the rest of the seconds? Because we're not going to give up that 1 minute to no doubt, no naysayers, no anything negative. What are you going to do? So that's a challenge. That is a challenge. So Apostle, what do you have coming up next? Oh my God, you are super, super busy. I mean, one day you may be in this country, the next you might be in a total different country.
That's true.
How do you do it?
I'm embracing it.
Embracing it. Okay.
I'm embracing it and readying myself for it. But again, in doing so, I had to shift my mindset. I had to prepare myself.
Yes.
Because seeing it and doing it is one thing. So I had to shift my mindset. You know.
Yes.
So yeah, based on travel, we'll be leaving for Canada at the end of this month for a prophetic thrust. I'm excited about that. So we have different frequencies from the Houston area, North Carolina, Florida, St. Vincent. That's not only going to be speaking over the region of Canada, but also speaking into the lives and bringing it not only a disrupting, but a thrusting a force, if you will, into the life of those in Canada. So I'm excited about that. We also have 2 worshipers from Houston. Again, Houston is repping hard, and as well as worshipers in Canada by Pastor Marsha Miller. And so we're excited about that. So that is for Canada.
Okay.
Prophetic thrust. And oh gosh, in September is for the Women Who Soar retreat in Italy. And we will be staying at the Castle Renegade. That castle have been built in the 1600s. It has such a rich story and history as to who stayed there and how it would remain based on when I said kings and family, their bloodline, and how when they went to war, they tore it down and they built it back up. So when you see the pictures and go into their rooms, you could see the originality of the castle, and in the back has where they where they grow the grapes and just the journey of it. And then we're going into another palace again. So we're excited about that, taking the women on a tour. But not only that, each day we will meet up, and I call it Matrix, which means we'll start at one point, but as we start talking and empowering these women, we will be able to impact their lives. And so their mindset is going to change, their viewpoints are going to change, their scope is going to change, as well as their perspective. So they will enter into Italy one way, but they'll be ready to tackle the world after they've left and literally put things into perspective. So we're looking for that. It's called Women Who Soar Retreat. That's on September, I think, the 26th to October the 3rd.
And I'll put the flyer on all of the flyers, as a matter of fact, on my page. So those of you all who don't get a chance to write it down during this live, you'll be able
Okay.
to. So what's
Okay.
next? Because I know you have only 100 things left.
Yes. And in August, we will be going to the Caribbean. Host
Mhm.
is Apostle Stan Shaw Cornelius, and is for a week. Is an awesome conference. She has worshipers coming from all over the globe, and we will also be doing our prophetic thruster, where we are empowering leaders from different ministries, and also other leaders that will be traveling in from other parts of the world, as we empower and fortify and build those leaders. And I am looking forward to that, because the more I look at the waters, the more I get homesick. And I'm letting her know, look, I am not leaving no time soon. Please. She said, that's okay. Because I'm like, I'm coming to stay with you, because I'm not leaving. So I'm looking forward to that. When it comes to book projects, um,
Oh
I,
wait,
I,
don't
I,
forget
I
you have Antigua.
that's Antigua. That's in Antigua. That's in
That's Antigua.
August. August. Yes, that's in Antigua. Antigua and the Bermuda. So yes.
Okay.
So that's why I said I'm not coming back in no time soon. Kelly, when I send you the pictures of that, well, I'm from the Caribbean, but I'm telling you, each island has its own uniqueness. Antigua have 365 rivers. St. Lucia have 365 beaches. But each island has its own uniqueness. Has its own uniqueness. Okay. Um, oh, and another event that's happening in September that is going to be in St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm excited. It's called the Dreamers Conference. You got women coming from all over. Apostle Kishma George is from the Virgin Islands, like myself. So we're going back home and impacting the women or the island there. So again, that's another outlet for me to go island hopping. So I'm not coming back to the US no time soon. So I'm just saying, and so looking forward to that. When it comes to
The books.
book projects,
Yes.
yes, I just I love doing book projects and anthologies for this simple reason. I love hearing the heart, the minds, and soul of each individual. And when they send their pieces to me, like, did you read it yet? Did you read it yet? Not yet. What are you waiting for? I love getting it all together when it's compiled in the book. And Kelly, I'm one that when I travel, I take the books with me. And I like to have pen and paper, because I'm circling and I'm reading and I'm writing. And at
Absolutely.
the same time, even though I've read it before and I've heard it before, the tears always come. Why? Just to hear the richness, their experience, their livelihood. So this book project is called Black Her Story. And this Black Her Story is women from different back, different experiences, that's willing to share with the next gen of women. And what's so unique about this particular project, it drew women from, we have one of them that's a police officer. Oh my gosh.
Oh
We have
wow.
one of them, yes, a police officer. So she was so happy to share her experience. We have another one, a six figure. She builds custom homes. And so, and each story from each person. And then, of course, we have you, Kelly. Finally got Kelly on this project. Imagine this. Oh my gosh. So I'm just saying, the background, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that's
Yes. Yes.
positioning themselves to speak to the next gen of women. But I was like, okay, well, God, just the uniqueness of the background, not only by way of profession, but like, this is it. I get to share a little bit of me, the essence of me, to
Yes.
another young woman, tell her
Yes.
about life. And one of them that really hit me, had me crying. Look, I make six figures. I multiply, but I'm having a problem dating. I need to let them know. And I'm like, wait a minute. Write that down, write that down. You know, she said, yes, I'm a multiplier. You could have zero, but my man gonna have everything. But why am I having a problem dating? So you see, on that level, and women are bringing their richness, hey, to young women to lift their head up. to look at life a little differently. You're not alone. We still have a village that's willing to raise a child. We still have a village that's willing to encourage you, woman. Keep your head up from different perspective, you know. So I'm
Yes.
excited
Yes.
about this project. Again, it's called Black Her Story, and it's dealing with the essence. Again, we share stories, but when it comes to the essence of women sharing their advice, their soul, their mind to pour into, that is rich. That's rich. And it's like passing on. Sometimes we looking at that right there is wealth. Is wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we might not meet face to face, but let me help you fix your crown. Here you go, sweetie.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, so
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm excited. So I look forward to the interviews. I can't wait for the world to hear y'all like I hear the essence of y'all. And especially in this time where women are changing, shifting from home to now in the marketplace, and from marketplace working at home or doing, I mean, just they're dominating. This is a time for encouragement. This is a
Yes.
time for encouragement. So this is going to fuel. And this is, again, this is volume 3 of the women to women devotional. So this is an extension of it.
Okay.
So I'm excited
Okay.
of it.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I told you this woman is. I think she has to have what is that the what is that the energy drink that everybody uses, the Red Bull. Is it
Red,
Red or something by her side at all times because she is super busy. But in all sincerity, that just means that the hand of God is on her, using her, and not just using her just for herself, but He's using her to bring other women from all over the world together to bring an impact in this world for Him. So, Apostle,
oh, I got one more. One more.
yeah,
Forget about the writing. It's a summer program, the writing intensive for teenagers. I think it starts at I think 14 to 18,
okay.
and that is the camp to help young adults to be able to write. And we're going to tackle writing 101, given the stages, phases of writing. When they're done with the intensive, they'll be able to know and learn how to write their book, and also know and learn how to make money from writing their books, that they could depend or even lean on this skill when they're as adults, young
Yes,
adults.
yes,
Um,
yes.
but it's called Writing Intensive. So I'm excited. We birthed this youth or camp 2 years ago in the pandemic. And so we had Parker Lewis. She did hers. She's a screenwriter. So she did her class in helping them how to write screenplays and everything. And
Okay,
that was an awesome, yes. And so
okay,
now they could do a little movie if they can. And that was awesome. And so with this, after the end of their program, all students will be able to have contributed a chapter to be able to a community anthology. So they could say, I wrote this.
I wrote this.
I did this. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And another thing I
Mhm.
love about you, you are always including the next generation.
Mhm.
So that is again the just the mark that God has His hand on you because He is concerned about this next generation that's coming.
Man.
So that's why he has people like you in place to when it's time to shift and bring them into their lane, they will already have the books, the knowledge,
Yeah.
the conferences, the
Yeah.
support that they need that we
Yes.
didn't have when we were younger.
Come on. Come on. I know what we had was the 4-H club. The
Yes,
4-H club. And I
yes,
missed them because I
yes,
learned how to crochet and I learned how to do
yes,
different things, arts and craft with the 4-H club, survival wise. So that helped me,
yes.
But this, some of the YMCAs are not open and about like they used to be. But what do they have? A lot of them don't want to leave their house. They just want to play the games.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. They would rather
Mhm.
do face to face with a video than they would face to face with God
That's true.
and
That's true.
having that genuine
Mhm.
encounter with God. So
Yeah.
these things are just a way for them to begin to for their interest to get piqued. and they say, you
Mm,
know what? Let me see what this God thing is all about.
yeah.
What is my purpose? What is my reason for being here? It's just not to occupy space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, any questions out there? I see Miss Jeannie said God is using you for all of us, and we are blessed to have you in our lives. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Well, any final thoughts before we close out this great conversation?
Yes, mindset is a mindset, but the imprint or the expression of you shows in, okay, I'll put it this way. Though we are still trying to find or define who we are, the imprint of you is going to last always.
Yes.
So leave your imprints, or which means your imprints, leave your content, your books, your writings, your art, your music, your platforms, your videos. Leave it where the next generation can trace you,
Yes.
to find
Yes.
you. Because when
Yes.
they trace you to find you, they want to learn of the way you're wired, you're thinking. Why did he or she think that way? Why did they say this? Why did they? They're looking at the wiring of your mind.
Yes. Yes.
So let's
Yes.
remind you to leave your content, your books, everything out there for the next generation to trace you, because they want to know how you're wired and learn. Read books about you, read your thoughts, read
Yes.
your mind, your mindset, your
Yes.
consciousness, to
Yes.
learn about you. That's how she was wired. That's how he was wired.
Well, point well received, and I think that's a good ending point for us until we do part three or conference or something.
Something. We
But
need to.
yes, ma'am,
Hmm.
because you said it in so many words. We are limited by our beliefs,
Yeah.
and it keeps us stuck.
Hmm.
And the last time I gave the testimony, well, not testimony, but the example of when I first learned how to drive the stick shift.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I had to learn how to syncopate, releasing the clutch and the
Yes.
foot on the gas, and
Yes.
all of those things, and not being stuck, not letting those gears grind. And if I didn't do it in the perfect time, the
Yes.
car cut off.
Uh-huh.
And not only did it cut off, it rolled back.
That's true. That's
If
true.
you're up on an incline, a little incline. So the point is, we must learn how to get in that space where we learn how to shift and shift properly, learn God's timing, learn God's purpose. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for, I know you probably are ready for 3 or 4 beds right about now. That's
And
time.
I'm good. I'm
Thank
good. This is it right here. Hmm.
just not counting it robbery to spend this afternoon with all of us out there listening to this conversation. So we thank you
Thank you.
sincerely, just like Miss Jeannie said. You are definitely a blessing. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for having me.
Well, this is not the last time, so we'll have you back. We'll have you back for sure.
Yes.
And Apostle says she is lit. Yes, she is. She is very much so. Very much so. Well, again, thank you all for joining us, and please make sure to contact her. I'm going to put her information up so that you can reach out to her. Her website is lovellamogere.com. She has books and seminars and classes and all kinds of wonderful things. And if you love to travel, as you can see, or you heard earlier,
Yep.
join her on some of these trips. You
Hmm.
will be blessed. You will be blessed. Now, are they going to be streamed live? Will people have access to?
For Canada, yes, it will be streamed live because we have Thursday and Saturday virtually,
Okay,
Friday and Saturday night. No,
okay,
and that's yes, but so they will be able to see
okay,
and hear. Yes, for Canada, for they for Antigua, they'll probably see like bits and clips of it.
Okay.
based on the dynamics and how busy it is, because it's going to be, it's just like an open concert place on, for the, for us, for dealing with the speakers, yes, they'll be able to. But when it comes to the dynamics, it's like we're outside in the concert, like an actual concert that we're going through, dealing with.
Oh,
And, so yes, yes, yes. So we're looking
wow.
forward
Okay.
to that. So every day is an event. Every day there's something happening
Okay.
there. So yes, and definitely for Italy, yes, ma'am. Because another, we're also going to the Mosaic Center. Oh my God, the Institute. So yes, we're looking forward to that as well as we journey ahead. As we journey ahead. Mhm.
Well, please go to her website and sign up and get registered for the link or whatever you need to do, because you don't want to miss it. And Apostle,
And
again,
also, to start off for the Italy trip, the deposit is only for now 150. Come on,
oh,
150.
okay, okay,
Come with.
okay. If I wasn't already going to be out the country, I would be there myself. Only reason. But again,
Oh my
Apostle,
goodness.
thank
Okay.
you so much for gracing
Oh,
us
you're welcome.
your wisdom and your knowledge and nuggets. And I want to hear from you guys after the podcast, some of the nuggets that, again, like I said, that you're going to take and run with it from this day forward, and maximize your life to the max. So again, this has been another conversation with Kelly, and I am so glad that you joined us. And stay tuned, man. As I always say, there are some guests coming up. All I can say is just oil and fire. That's all I can say. Oil and fire. So keep listening, subscribe, make sure you tune in, because you will be blessed. So until next time, you all be blessed, and we'll see you very, very soon.